Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Joe and unfortunately Ash is still busy, so he will not be joining us. Got a little reaction video for you today. So Lars just finished going to the Everything Electric show, no? Something like that. Went to the show here in the UK and he recorded a little video on his way back to the airport where he's having a little rant, shall we say, about the ice car that he rented. And seeing as I'm an owner of that ice car, I just wanted to just fill in there, shall we say. Yeah, I'm gonna play the video for you guys, and even though I agree with pretty much everything he says, I just want to make a case as to why we bought this specific ice car and why we didn't go for an EV at the time, even though I was already fully into electric vehicles. At the time when we got this car, I even told my missus, because the car is for the missus, and I even told her that the next car is gonna be an EV. No question about it. This would be the last ice car that we get. The thing is we ordered it in December 2021 and was supposed to receive it towards end of January 2022. And the timeline is important here. Yeah, we had another car that was busy going the way of the dodo. You could hear it's gonna fail imminently. And luckily, the day it failed, which ended up being April, the day it failed was the day I got a phone call from Kia saying that my car has just arrived in the country and they can deliver within a week. Yeah, let's switch over to Lars. Let's watch his little video.
From the Fully Charged live show right now. I'm driving to the airport anyway. I can't drive home from over here. But
There we go, fully charged live show. I did record the video and playing it at 1.2 times speed just to get through it quicker.
live tow, I flew over here and I rented a Tesla Model 3 because that felt nice and comfortable because I have to drive on the other side of the road over here. So it was a car I knew very well.
I completely agree with him because whenever I go to Europe, I just drive my car from the UK to Europe because it's easier because you're used to your car rather than renting a vehicle. It makes it so much easier if you're used to the vehicle. So yeah, last time he came, he rented the Model 3, easy as pie to get used to it. If you got in a different car, it makes it a lot harder.
Good and all this kind of stuff. But this time I thought it would be fun driving a nice vehicle.
Nope.
Because I have been driving EVs for 4 years now. So I thought, hey, let's try a good old ice vehicle and see how it goes and see how it feels. And this one is even, with manual sticks. So this is really like going
Horrible.
into a time machine, going back in time and seeing how this is. Yeah, and what a terrible experience. This is not a fun car to drive. I don't know why people will choose a nice vehicle and say, I will never get an EV. Well, I can tell you, I will never get a nice vehicle again, that's for sure. Not fun cars to drive. So in this car, I just put the pedal to the absolutely metal.
I'm gonna guess that Lars has the 1 liter, which is the same as what we have. And yeah, when you're at motorway speed and you put your foot down, there's nothing. I kid you not, there is nothing. I was very surprised at the rev range, the RPM range of the vehicle, considering it's a 1 liter. But yeah, the reason why we went for the 1 liter is because Mrs. doesn't do a lot of driving. We're talking about 5,000 miles a year. And it's mostly town and intertown. She almost never goes on a motorway. The only time the car goes on a motorway is when I'm driving it. And most of the time I'm not driving it. So yeah, there's no power. I can absolutely tell you that.
Yeah, I can add, it doesn't accelerate. I can add speed over time, but
Yep.
it does not accelerate. What am I driving, you might ask? Well, I'm driving the Kia XCeed.
It's the exact same color I got, but from what Lars is going to show later, the model that I got is actually a lower end model to the one that he's got there, because he's got the upgraded 10-inch screen inside, and the one we got has the 7-inch screen inside. But it's still plenty big enough for a cheap car. But I have to say, he's going to compare this to the MG4, and I think this looks a heck of a lot better than MG4, my personal opinion. But from the back and from the front, it just looks better than MG4. And I got it also because it's a crossover. I like crossovers.
Because the car and the affordability and stuff like this, because we always talk about price parity with ICE vehicles and so on. So I was in this car and there was like, oh, this is old school. So but I thought, okay, it's also going to be much cheaper than the affordable electric vehicles out there, like the MG4, the BYD Dolphin, right? Because you get into this car and it's the navigation system, first of all, that's just like
Okay, very surprised that he's using the onboard navigation. It's I've never used the onboard navigation whenever I had a choice. I would always be using my phone because that car has Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. He could have plugged in his phone and used his phone. I don't know why he would use the onboard thing. Come on, Lars, don't use the onboard stuff. They've never ever been good. It's like, yeah, you just don't do it. The only thing that's good is the Tesla one. The rest, every other car company out there makes terrible onboard navigation. You just don't use it. You don't bother. You use your phone. Much, much better. But yeah, there you can see it's got a bigger screen than the one that we got.
Hasn't changed much. It's really, really bad. When I drove away from the Fully Charged live show, I have my phone on as well because I don't trust this navigation system. And when I was driving
Exactly.
away from the Fully Charged live show, when I was on
Google
these small
Maps for the
dirt
win.
roads, but Google Maps, well, on my phone, it knew where I was and said drive here, drive there, blah blah blah. This navigation system, it was just like, I got no idea where you are. Please go to a main road. Like,
Hmm.
this is so bad. Oh my god. And so that was a very bad experience. And then the whole cluster crap of buttons in here.
Okay, now I agree with him. When you're used to Tesla, then this is a nightmare. But when you're not used to Tesla, the Kia is actually not that bad with the buttons and where they're located. I was pleasantly surprised with the layout. It's very similar to that of a Ford. It's not overkill like in a Mercedes or in BMW. It's actually not bad, and the stuff is pretty well located. So I think Kia's got a better user interface than some of the premium brands from Europe. Just on where the layout is. I mean, obviously the tactiles and that stuff is is definitely going to be better in your Mercedes and BMW. But as far as where your buttons is and how they're located, I think it's a lot better. There's only one thing in the Kia that I didn't like is down there. What you don't see from this point of view, but that button there is your lane keep assist, which comes standard in all of them. And it's very tricky to see it because it's actually from where you're sitting, it's behind the steering wheel. So if you're just driving down windy little roads and you want to properly take corners and stuff, very hard to find the button to turn off. You have to like dodge behind the wheel and then press the button, which means you're not really concentrating on the road. You only want lane keep assist when you're on the motorway, because otherwise the car's trying to keep you in the middle of the road. And if you're trying to drive like a normal person, hug the corners and stuff for a smoother ride, it's like you can feel the steering wheel fighting you. And I really think they could have put that button in a better place. But yeah, Lars is going to talk about the price parity between this and the MG4. But he's comparing one of the more upgraded models because you got dual zone AC, we don't have that. You got some start stop button, like keyless button things. We don't have that. So the model that he's looking at here is roughly around the 24 to 26k mark, comparable to the one that we have. Ours was 20k, and when we put the paint color on, it went to 21k, and that's it. And we got it on a lease, so we're not paying the full amount. With the lease, it came up to 180 quid a month, just under 180 quid a month. And then we added the maintenance package, so we don't have to pay for any maintenance and servicing and stuff like that. And that brings us up to just over £200 a month, which is a very affordable price for most people for a car of this size. But that is at 5,000 miles a year. Yeah. If I had to use this car for work, that price would go much higher. I actually looked at it. It would be in the nearly £500 a month range to do the kind of mileage that I do.
This car's like, oh my god, I have to just take 5 minutes to figure out what all these buttons are for. Because I have to count them, and I did count them because there were so many buttons. It's like, okay, in my reach here, there are 70 buttons I can push. So even if I just push one button every minute, it will take me more than an hour to push every button in this car. Oh my god, that's just the BlackBerry experience here, right? But anyway, I'm driving this car and thinking, but what is the price of this one? Because,
Here we go.
clearly it's going to be much more affordable than the electric vehicles, right? But this, when I looked it up, the starting price of the Kia XCeed is about the same price of the MG4, the fully electric vehicle.
We're going to go out here quickly. Okay, here we go. So, the Kia XCeed. Bear in mind, as I said, the one that we got with the 1 litre engine, which is pretty much I'm sure what he's got because the 1.5 would give you a lot more power. The 1 litre engine came in at 20k, but they don't offer it anymore, it seems. So now you get the 1.5. Cheapest one is 24 We'll call that 24k. Yeah. Compare it to the MG4. Bit of everything. So you get 218 miles of range, which is not enough for me. That's why I'm going for the Tesla. Where's the price? I think it's here at the bottom. 27. You go from 24 to 27. So £3,000 difference. So I completely agree with him that you're gonna go, after cost of ownership, the MG4 is gonna cost you a lot less. But for anybody that's not just going around town, you're gonna go for the long range one. You're gonna go for 30 grand effectively. So you're talking 23, 24 versus 30 grand, so 6 grand difference. And he does mention that they have pretty similar size things like cargo capacity, but the Kia looks better than MG4. It looks horrific to me. I really don't like the look of the MG4. This is a brilliant car by all means, but it's just ugly. It's just, I don't know, the front face of it just looks wrong. Just very, very wrong in my opinion. Whereas the Kia XCeed I think looks much, much better. I don't know. Again, it's personal opinion, but yeah. The other thing is why we went for the Kia at the time, as I said, December 21 when I ordered it. The MG4 didn't come to the UK until September 2022. And that is the main thing, is at the time when we ordered the Kia, there was nothing in the electric catalogue available within the price limit that I wanted in the UK. So depending on which one comes out first, depending on whether Tesla's small car is available in the UK at the time that our lease expires on the Kia, we will either go for the Tesla, the small one, or I'm very much leaning towards the BYD Dolphin, which is not available in the UK yet. It's supposed to come towards the end of the year. But yeah, I think the BYD Dolphin is going to be an absolute killer in the UK.
So yeah, the electric vehicle, the affordable
Yeah, it just
electric
looks
vehicle.
ugly. I'm
We're
sorry
not talking
about
about the Toyota Yaris or the Citroën C1 or all the really
ugly.
tiny small vehicles. They're not here yet, but they're coming. BYD Seagull and so on, they're coming. But right now, the affordable vehicles, when we're talking MG4, ID3, BYD Dolphin, they are already on price parity with this.
Yeah, but the BYD Dolphin is not available in the UK yet. So again, if it comes down to these cars, yeah, financially it makes more sense. And if the BYD Dolphin is available, then yeah, I would probably have gone for that, even though it has a smaller luggage compartment. Yeah, between the MG4 and the Kia, the MG4 is ugly as hell. I'm sorry. It's just, I do not like it.
And this is kind of, an affordable
Look
vehicle,
at
and
that.
very
That
comparable
is
to the
much
MG4. It's
better
the same
looking.
kind of size, same kind of trunk space. And the MG4 doesn't have a frunk, so they
I
have the same
don't.
kind of
Is that the Dolphin?
cargo space as that one. So they're very comparable, and they cost the same. But then it comes true cost of ownership, and the MG4 wins by a mile. The true cost of ownership is much more affordable when it comes to EVs, right? We all know that. And it's much more simple to drive. It's much more simple to own because there's not much maintenance and there's no service checks you have to do and so on. It just becomes a no-brainer. For me, I do not understand why this car sells anymore. Who?
Yes, I agree with him. This car should not really sell anymore. I don't think there's much of a point left in it by the end of this year. By the end of this year, we're going to have enough cheaper EVs within the low 20s to mid 20,000s available in the UK that there won't be a need for cars like the XCeed anymore. It's literally just going to be people who don't know about electric cars that's going to buy it.
People that has not been at the Fully Charged Live show and test drove a lot of electric vehicles, because that's the beauty of the Fully Charged Live show, right? You can test out 10 different electric vehicles and get a feel for it. And people will realize, well, they're much more quiet and nice to drive, and when you push the accelerator, something happens instead of this.
Yeah, there's nothing. There's no power.
Nothing happens. Oh, that's so fun. Anyway,
and Lars, if you watch this video, I'm going to send it to you. How was the gear changes for you? Because for me, it's like there's something wrong on the Kia between first and second. When you go from first into second and you let go of the clutch, you can be as smooth as you want. There's like a jump in the clutch. Only between first and second. When you go to second, it's just so hard not to get it to not jump. So hard to get it to be smooth. Like you basically have to rev the hell out of it just so you have constant acceleration. And when I say rev the hell out of it, you need to be somewhere between 3,000 and 4,000 RPM, or at least above 3,000 RPM. And on a tiny little car like that, on a tiny little engine like that, you just sound like a moron when you're going around the road driving it like that. It's just, yeah, it's just terrible. Something wrong with that clutch. That's why I'm so glad I didn't buy the car. So glad I leased it and got the maintenance package. So if there's something wrong with it, not my problem. So I don't expect it to break within the first 20,000 miles. We got it for 20,000 miles, 4 years. If it does break, not my problem. But if it doesn't break, I feel sorry for the next person who buys that, because honestly, that clutch, just there's something wrong there.
Market for this car should be absolutely zero. Nobody should want this vehicle. It pollutes, it smells, it's bad, it doesn't drive very well. Well, you know, it handles fine, but you know, this is.
As you say, it handles fine. But if you come from a Tesla to something like this, you're coming from a car that costs twice as much as this, then yeah, the driving experience is going to be worse. My van that I have drives better than the Kia because my van's automatic. It is a much smoother, much more comfortable, and it has a hell of a lot more power and a lot more torque. This thing has absolutely zero torque. It claims it has 120 horsepower. I promise you, there's nothing there. Whereas my van, which is 150 horsepower, has a ton of torque because it's a diesel engine. And if you put your foot down, it goes. Even if you're doing 70 miles an hour, you put your foot down, it goes. Not as much as a Tesla, but it goes. So yeah, you can't compare this to your Tesla that you're used to. The acceleration is terrible. You need to go compare this. I think the nearest thing you can compare this to is the Nissan Leaf. And then again, the Nissan Leaf will be worse than the MG4. Yeah, we'll see when the Dolphin comes to UK. I'm definitely going to go test drive the Dolphin once it comes to UK. I think that's going to be a very interesting ride. And I really hope it comes in at under 25,000. I don't think it would, but apparently they're aiming for 28, which is a bit high for the size of the car.
So, why anyone would buy this over an MG4 is completely beyond my understanding. Must be because they have not tried an MG4 or any electric vehicle for that matter. But I can fill this up in 5 minutes. Well, good on you. But the rest of the experience is quite inferior.
Yeah, the whole 5 minute argument is just absolute rubbish. I'm sorry, but I live not very far from the fuel station, and you're wasting at least 10 minutes of your time. Like, let's say I get in my van and I need to put fuel in and I need to go to work. By the time I drive to the fuel station, fill up, yeah, it takes about 5 minutes at the fuel station if there's no queue, and a lot of the time there is a queue. Then you fill up, and then you drive. I basically drive the road next to my house to get out of the town. I'm looking at 10-15 minutes of time lost on my way to work. So I always have to leave 10-15 minutes earlier if I know I need to go get fuel. So it's not 5 minutes, I'm sorry, but once I get my Tesla, I won't ever have to lose those 10-15 minutes of time ever again, because I'll always have a full charge. That 10-15 minute argument is rubbish. The only time it comes into play is when you do long distance, and most people don't do long distance, or very rarely do long distance.
Is absolutely dead. I think these types of cars, these affordable ICE cars in the same price category as the electric vehicles, that it's on price parity right now, yeah, they're going to go out of business very, very quickly over the next couple of years.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, trying the ICE vehicle again, yeah, it's just completely dead to me. This
Oh
experience
yeah.
is just like, yeah, this is driving like a 33 Nokia 3310, right? It can be as luxurious as.
That is a very good example. The 3310, there was all kinds of bling models, shall you call it, that they came out with. And it's still a 3310. It was a very good phone for its time, but it's dead. It's the perfect analogy. Let's listen to Lars. He makes an excellent point.
Leather, massaging seats, and all that kind of crap. It is still a nice vehicle. It's still a Nokia 3310 underneath. This is no fun whatsoever. Don't get me wrong. Within the ICE industry, this is a nice vehicle. There's nothing wrong with it as a nice vehicle. But to compare it to the electric vehicle version or comparable electric version of this car, there's just no contest anymore. This car is dead. And to
No.
me, this experience really showed me, yeah, ICE cars are dead to me. I will.
Okay, I'm gonna stop the video there. Lars is pretty much done with his rant. So yeah, I completely agree with Lars. As far as ICE vehicles go, the Kia is an excellent vehicle in its price group. I think it's very well placed in its price group. If you go for the base model, if you just want a car to pop around with, yeah, fine. If you start speccing it out and you get to the same price as a Tesla Model 3, why the hell would you keep with this car? There's absolutely no way. it doesn't make sense why anyone would buy a car like this when you can get a Tesla Model 3. The Model 3 is a vastly superior experience to the Kia. I mean, yeah, it's just in the name already. If you can get a Model 3 for the same price as a Kia, why on earth would you go for a Kia? Another point I want to make is that the XCeed does come in a hybrid form. And when we went to the Kia dealership to look at the XCeed before we placed our order online, I wouldn't buy it from a dealership directly or lease it. We went to look at one just to have a look at the space and all that, and they had a hybrid model there, and the trunk space was so severely reduced because of the stupid idiotic thing that is a hybrid. It just wasn't worth it. I can't see why people would choose that. Like, we go camping, there would not even be close to enough space for our camping gear. I mean, we still have a roof box, but just to get our stuff in the back, the hybrid takes up so much of your space. Ridiculous. But other than that, the Kia is a decent car for what it is. But when the new full electric vehicles come in, the cheaper ones, that's going to be in the mid 20s, let's call it mid 20s, like the entry level MG4, which is 27. If you go to 28, it's not mid 20s anymore. You need to be within 23 to 27, like the BYD Dolphin that I believe is going to come in under, I'm hoping under 26k. If it comes in under 26k, that thing's going to sell like hotcakes. Honestly, like, BYD's got a really good thing on their hands there. And if Tesla then comes with their thing, which I believe they'll be able to do under 25k, bear in mind we're talking British pounds now. If they come in at under 25k British pounds, my gosh, they're gonna absolutely destroy cars like this. Kia really needs to start making full EVs, because the XCeed, for the shape that it is, probably not the most aerodynamic, but it is a really nice car for its price point. If you ripped out all the nonsense and redesigned it but still stick the body on top, it would actually be a fairly nice car. Unfortunately, they haven't gone that way. So yeah, that is my little thing. Lars, thank you for a very good video. I'm so glad that you actually got the XCeed. I quite like the car for what it is, but yeah, at the time I didn't have a decent option that was within the price range that I wanted in an electric vehicle. Anyway, guys, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time. Cheers.